Okay, there we go. We are live, coming here with another Stir the Pod podcast show. I am your host, Alex, and tonight we are joined by Andy. Andy, how are we doing tonight?
What up, what up?
And we are here with the episode 16 recap, and it's just going to be a two-man pod tonight. Trev, I think, came ready last week with a full-on stat sheet of who's missed how many number of episodes, but I think it's not the number of episodes you miss. It's when you miss them. And missing the Burger King episode, missing one that's might be the second to last episode before the final. That's a big one to miss. But any thoughts on that, or just kind of opening thoughts on the episode in general here?
I mean, this was quite literally out of TJ's mouth, the episode that we heard, you do not want to go home now. And what does one of our co-hosts do? They go home.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, we're both here. I know our live chat is going to be here. Actually, let me. I'm new to this hosting gig. Let me see if I can pull up the live chat. Okay, it looks like we got here. Okay, we got Trever, Fontan, and Mikey the Doctor. I'm sure we'll get some others here soon. But it looks like the live chat's going. Episode 16 tonight. I think this was a good episode. I don't think it was great. I think it was better than last week. I think the daily was fun to watch, but like kind of predictably not super interesting. It's not a good daily. We'll get into it when they have like the montage of people just kind of flying through it. There literally was no like drama or politics, but in some ways I did like that in terms of the flow of the episode later on. The elimination, we got, I would say, an upset. I just like, again, this episode was not one of the best 5 this season, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a step up from last week, and I thought it pushed us in the right direction, getting us ready for the final.
I agree. I think this was just a pretty clean episode. You had your daily. There wasn't anything too crazy. I'm with you. It had the star power of what they were doing, but it was very clear that that 500-meter swim was very long. And the montage, it kind of got a little dreary. Um, but star power kind of daily, you get through it. It also became clear that the elimination was already decided. So to your point about there being no drama, it was like, all right, based on the daily, these two are going in. There wasn't that much drama. We actually got a club. They go to the elimination. They built it up quite a bit with Derek's story. I don't know if you realize this, but Corey does have kids. So that got mentioned multiple times. We got the FaceTimes and then an underdog story to top it off. So, I mean, the end of it with Derek's sister's birthday and he actually wins and he's crying. Like, the thought that popped into my head was like, how can you not be romantic about the challenge? But it was a clean episode. It wasn't anything crazy. But I really think, and I'll start with just opening thoughts because it popped into my head. I feel like we've taken weeks off, even though I think it's only been one. But I just love this season. Like, this was a clean, ho-hum kind of episode, but it's getting us excited for the final. And then I started thinking, like, and they started on, I think the start of this episode, they showed all 40 again. And it made me just think about the season as a whole. Like, I think all of our expectations were tempered. Like, we knew it was going to be a good cast, but it was also 40 fucking people coming off the back of last season. I think this season's knocked it out of the park. Like, I thought that they had a very solid team aspect of it. They had a twist, and I think the twist being the individuals. Like, when they picked the targets, it was like, okay, they're picking 3 targets. There's strategy behind it. There's alliances. It makes sense. The twist makes sense. And there's been some good competition, and now we're left with nothing but heavy hitters.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I think like the season just hasn't had a lot of like long downturns. We've had like a couple dud episodes here and there, but like we haven't had continued stretches of like this is, boring. It is just taking a while because they've taken some weeks off, and we'll get into some of that later on maybe. But I thought, like you said, this was a clean episode. There wasn't any part of it that I like hated or like I wanted to just like fast forward through. And there were a couple parts that like I thought were like A minus B plus. And like when you're this late into the season, you just want episodes that have a few of those moments. And if you can get a full 90-minute episode that has no D minus F moments, then you're kind of good to go. And I feel like that's what we got tonight.
Yeah. And I do think like we didn't have the chamber, but I did like that they threw a little club action in there. Like, they were having fun. It wasn't anything crazy. It kind of felt like, wow, these people have not just enjoyed themselves in a long time. So, and I feel like that's usually what happens towards the end is like half of the cast is on pins and needles of like, I could be going in, I could be going home. And the other half is like, I'm at no risk right now. There's only 10 people left. I'm just going to like have a drink and enjoy myself for once. And I was like seeing that.
Yeah, it was fun to see. And obviously we ended the episode with a challenge staple in the location change. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later. Let's start with the episode before they get to the daily. We start with my streak.
Whoa.
We start with my streak, coined by Alex, of Ginny walking into the house first. So we got my streak, which is always a good way to start.
Yes, my streak is active, correct. My streak. Andy's streak.
So we got my streak. And then the only other thing I had written down before the daily, because it was just a lot of, classic scheming bullshit, that type of thing, was the flashback that they did in the picture frame. Big Easy.
Awesome.
Big Easy. I mean, what a random thing. I think that would have been a perfect flashback to use if season 40 had stuck maybe in teams. And it was like the episode as they were starting the final, that would have been the perfect time to use it. Maybe especially if Anissa was still there, for God's sakes. But to have like a random Big Easy flashback, and I mean, it just kind of what I like about those flashbacks, I feel like we just haven't given them enough credit, is it just kind of takes you back to that moment, to just
Yeah.
watching that moment as it was happening, and CT and the rest, Kinney and all those guys were just come on, just fucking pull him. And wasn't what was the line before this during the season about Big Easy, like in his endurance and what Big Easy had claimed to be able to run?
He said he could run a 10-minute mile. And then he said, well, yeah, I just meant like just one single 10-minute mile.
Did he
I,
really say that?
yes. I loved it because you got to see a normal Brad and you also got to see a not normal CT. So it's kind of like the two different evolutions of two different people.
That's true.
And it was so good to see like Brad's perspective of like, we just got to make sure he's okay. Like this is someone's life we're talking about. And then you have CT just standing over him. Come on, no, you're good. Let's go. Let's go. Get back up. We got to get this money. And it was 30 grand split like 6 ways. And they were willing to like Big Easy and Anissa as well, if she was in that situation, could have died. And CT's like, let's go. I want my money. I need my 30 grand split 6 ways.
Wait, was that really what the money was?
That CT said that, and Evelyn said 30 grand. So it might have been 30 each way, but part of me just likes to think it was 30 grand total for, 5 grand pre-tax. You're talking about CT's walking away with like $2,500. That's going to get him SIGs for like 2 months.
God, and that's where CT's mind was going back then.
100%.
That's incredible.
A 10-minute mile. Maybe one of the best lines of all time. That would be an interesting Mount Rushmore.
What, just quotes?
Lines, quotes.
I don't know if would the 10-minute mile get picked?
It has to be. I think the quote would have to be, I said I can run a 10-minute mile. I mean, that was just, I think there's a lot of smirky quotes out there.
I think that would be one that would require some research just to get everything in line. But then once they start kind of coming, I feel like there would be 50 good picks to throw out.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Looks like Tsunami said that Big Easy did clarify that at the reunion. They all go to the reunion after, and they're all obviously breaking down the season, a big upset from the underdog team. And Big Easy says, yeah, I said a 10-minute mile.
What season was that?
Gauntlet 3.
I think that needs to be, I need to put that reunion on, I think. I've been getting in a big reunion kick these days. They're so good.
Especially back in the day when you have all the heavy hitters. I mean, and maybe get one with Maria Menounos hosting. Those are always good.
Oh my God.
Did you have anything else before we get to the daily? I feel like there was nothing of note, really, right?
No, I was just happy it's back. And that was another thing that it made me think holistic season, because again, they started with the opening scene and whatnot, but like we were talking before the episode that the season could last from August to February, which we'll get into. But I've been enjoying it. Like I've never once started an episode and thought like, let's get this show on the road.
Yeah.
Like even after having that conversation, when tonight's episode started, I was like, let's go. Finals right around the corner.
Yeah, it's just kind of the mindset that you have on a Wednesday morning, on a Wednesday at 8:00. Like, are we just kind of just trying to get through it, or are we actually like interested in seeing what happens? And I've been interested in seeing, like, we have the final 7 guys, which guy is going to get eliminated. Now we have the final 5 tonight, which guy is going to get eliminated. Like, all of that's just been like really fun to follow.
Correct.
All right, let's get into the daily. So the daily itself was basically they they start in a car and they have to hot wire it via a puzzle. Again, loose definition of puzzle, but they have to do a puzzle in the car, and then the car like kind of almost like an amusement park ride, just kind of automatically goes down this little rail over a cliff, goes off the edge of the cliff. They get launched off, and then they have to like unclip themselves, and then basically it's a swim. It really was just a puzzle and a swim, kind of dressed up with like some cool looking things. Um, and obviously, the most important thing about this challenge was it was the Burger King challenge. Burger King sponsored. They had. We'll get into the feast later on, but they had BK. They TJ called them flame grilled hot rods.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just say you're going to be in this car. He called it flame grilled hot rods. I think as they were putting in the little chords for the puzzle, it was like, you rule, you rule. Like it was literally screaming out like BK catchphrases, which was just incredible. I mean, this daily was, I thought like the daily itself was just okay. It was basically just a long swim, but it's all dressed up in all of this like Burger King stuff, which makes it very smirky.
BK was throwing 99 on the black tonight. The only thing I wish we could have gotten, and this is asking for a lot, but it just would have been incredible to get an appearance from the king. You know, have him dressed up, have him sitting in the flame grilled hot rod to start. Like that just would have been unbelievable.
Well, then I think you have to. I think you have to launch him off.
You do. You would have to.
God, that is kind of, they've done Burger King. How many times would you guess that they've done Burger King? Like 5?
I think it's got to be more than that.
You think? That's really the only
It
like
has to be more
that's
than
really
that.
the only thing they're missing from these is just like bringing the king on for one of them.
Yes.
Do you do you think like if they brought the king on, do you think like Corey would kind of see him and be like, this guy's a threat to my game?
This guy comes in here, he thinks he's the king, just like that. Why does he already have a Whopper?
And then they flash to him, and it's just like this big plastic like clown, just kind of like, always smiling with his little thing, and like Corey's like actually threatened by him.
I don't know who this kid thinks he is. God, wait. Before we go on, do you know what the title of the Gauntlet 3 reunion was called?
No, they had titles for the
This
reunion.
one does, I guess.
What is it?
Trim the fat.
Oh my god, it's a great title.
That's so good. They don't make them like they used to.
Oh my god, trim the fat. Wait, did you already pull it up?
I'm watching it on mute. I have to.
All right. So the challenge, they all start going in the cars. Like we said, they do a montage like halfway through to kind of speed things up. We don't have to go through every single person, but basically the winners were Jordan and Tori. The losers were Kara and Derek. It seemed like everybody was more or less pretty close, and I think that's just because like we are in the final 10 and everybody left is like good at something. But like to me, it was no surprise that Jordan won this. Like not
Right.
only is he the best swimmer left, probably he's like just like the best at any of this shit. And then Tori, I guess somebody was pointing out that since we've gone to individuals, there's been 7 challenges. Tori's won 4 of them. The
Ooh.
rest of the girls have each that are left now have like won 3 combined, and Tori's won 4. So that's kind of dominant E. But Jordan wins. Any like thoughts on kind of the daily like performances? How anybody played out? Anything like that?
I mean, really, honestly, I think the only thing you can look at is Kara because she was really the only one who talked and that they focused on for a decent amount, saying like, everyone knows I'm not a great swimmer. Like I hear that all the time. Kara, Kara, Kara. It's like, no, like obviously she was going to be last. Which I mean, if she doesn't want to become a better swimmer, then okay, she better be good at everything else. That was really the only thing of note that I took away
Okay.
from really.
Yeah, she was probably. I mean, she was last place, and she was really the only person that I think like looked legitimately bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Derek got last place for the guys. Like I think he was more like just with the puzzle thing. Like I think he's a decent swimmer. Um, so because Jordan is a target, he wins. Derek's a target, he loses. That basically means that right away we know Corey is going to be into the elimination against Derek. We'll go into Corey and Derek later. We'll go into the house in a second. The other thing though from this challenge that I did want to bring up, I think it was in the challenge segment of the episode, but they did a little flash to a female Mount Rushmore. Tori was in a confessional talking about the Mount Rushmore and how she wants to be on it. And the Mount Rushmore they showed was Emily, Laurel, Cara, and Evelyn. And Tori was like the fifth face added on to it. So what do we think about that being like the female Mount Rushmore? Let's just start with those four and pretend that Tori isn't really part of this yet.
I mean, it's kind of chalky. Um, I feel like when we talk Mount Rushmores of females, when we talk about the best females, those are typically the four that are mentioned. Um, the problem is there's two problems for me. One, I don't think that Evelyn nor Emily have done enough to be on the Mount Rushmore. I don't. But the second problem is who the hell do you replace them with? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like I think they have a spot, but personally, I don't think they've necessarily earned it. Like
Yeah.
look at the men's Mount Rushmore, and like three of them that have to be on there are Bananas, CT, and Jordan, and then maybe Wes. But like the average number of seasons for those four is how many? Like 10 plus if you're doing the average?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many seasons was Evelyn or was Emily on? Like 5?
I think this is her fourth season.
Emily and Evelyn was just on a handful too.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that just again, it's a two-part problem that I don't have an answer to. I think it's the right choice, but I don't think they've earned it.
Yeah,
What do you think?
it's almost like with the guys, you're saying this person shouldn't be on it because I want to put these two guys on there. Whereas with the
Correct.
girls, your gut instinct is like, oh, that girl isn't a Mount Rushmore female, but you just don't really know who to put in her place. I feel like, and it's all I feel like that's always kind of been the case with the challenge. Is like the guys have a better like top tier. The girls have like a wider and deeper second tier, third tier, but they don't have like the strongest like Mount Rushmore. Basically, they don't have like the strongest group of girls that you would say is on the Mount Rushmore. I looked at it, and when I look at those four girls collectively, I first think like it's too recent of a Mount Rushmore, and everybody's like a little kind of era 2.5 and on. Um, but I feel like you got to judge each person individually, and I think to me of those four girls, honestly, like the girl that I feel most confident with, safe with putting on the Mount Rushmore is probably Cara. She just her resume is just like long. It has rings. It has elimination wins. It has um, a lot of different phases of her career. She's done a million seasons, but like she still has like a pretty good track record at every point in her career. And I feel like with everybody else, like Emily, like we just said, this she's done I think 4 seasons now, and it's not like she has 3 rings. She's won one time, and she's a beast. Like, don't get me wrong. If you want to make the case for her being on the Mount Rushmore, you can, but it's just a much smaller thing that you're arguing. Um, so Emily, I feel like would kind of be towards the bottom for me personally. Evelyn is she a 3-time champ? I think she's 3 times. She won Rivals, she won Island, and I feel like she won one more. Maybe Inferno 3, I think she won. I think her and is she the only 3-time champ? That can't be right. But I think Evelyn is probably on mine. I know she has a small sample size, but she was like a very intimidating like female presence every single time she was on. So I think Evelyn's probably on mine. And then even like Laurel is tough. Laurel has still only won one flagship season. And I know she had the big elimination streak to start her career. But it's like she's kind of like in a weird way, maybe less to that extent, but she's like the female version of Darrell, where like Darrell started his career awesome, won the first 4 seasons he did. Laurel wasn't that strong, but like she came on her first 2-3 seasons, she was like a force, and you were convinced that she was going to be the best female of all time. And she won on free agents, but she just hasn't really done a whole lot since then. So, yeah, Evelyn and Veronica have 3 wins. So I would say Evelyn is on mine, Kara's on mine. And again, like this goes back to what you said. Like I want to say Emily's not on mine, but I'm not 100% positive who I would like fill those last 2 spots with.
So one quick thing on Evelyn, because I did look this up. Evelyn was on 7 seasons, which I think is enough to be in the Mount Rushmore conversation. 7 seasons, 4 finals, 3 wins. That's pretty damn impressive.
That's good.
But like if you're trying to swap out Emily, which I know me and Trev, I don't know if you remember, Trev still is mad at me. Some people are saying he's not on tonight's episode because of the Emily and Viva Aviv discussion. But why not replace Tori? Tori's got a ring. Tori's done more.
So let's get into the second part of that is like kind of Tori and where she fits in. Do you think Tori has the resume to be on a Mount Rushmore?
Why the hell not? If it's over Emily, I'm fine with that.
God, I wish Trev was here to hear you say that you would have Tori all time over Emily.
Emily is just everyone says like, oh, well, she was so good and like was she a great competitor? Yes. Was she very strong? Yes. Was she good at the game? Yes. Is she bad? Yes. We get it. But she's not a challenge all-timer. And that's her own doing. She hasn't been on the show. Like Cara has been on here a bunch. Laurel has been on here a bunch. Even Evelyn doing 7 seasons. Okay, I'm cool with that too. Tori's done a bunch. Like it's kind of like when Matt Stafford finally got his Super Bowl ring. And now people are saying, okay, now he's in the Hall of Fame. It's not like if a quarterback's in the season or plays in the NFL for 4 or 5 years and wins 1 Super Bowl, are they going to make the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Probably not.
That's fair. It's funny because like Emily did her first 3 seasons were all really good. She won 1 ring. I think she made 3 finals. And it was a great start to her career. I think Rivals 2 was season 24. And she doesn't come back till season 40. That's 16 seasons there. If she just would have done like 2 of those, 3 of those, and like maybe racked up 1 more like gold medal, racked up a few elimination wins, then her overall resume looks a lot better. And I think it's funny because you compare that to what Tori mentioned tonight. Her rookie season was dirty 30. Her entire career is within the last 10 seasons. And she's probably done like 6 or 7 seasons. She's made a few finals. She won last time. Like she has elimination wins. She beat Ginny. People forget that on War of the Worlds too. Like she has impressive things that she's done. And so that's why like it sounded crazy to me right off the bat, but it's like you look at the rest of the females, and I mean, there's probably like 10 females that you can make a case for on the Mount Rushmore, and I think Tori is one of them at this point.
And I think one thing for me personally, and I think it's a valid thing to think about, is people like Cara, Laurel, Evelyn, and people like Bananas, CT, Jordan. They're on a good amount of shows. And when they're on those shows, they lead the shows. They lead the alliances. They do really well in the dailies. They put up consistently. They're just reliable. They go out regularly and they do well. Like Evelyn was just as much. She was probably not just as much, but maybe the number one shot caller on damn near every season she was on.
Yeah.
And like Cara chops it up with alliances, and like not as much now, but through the prime, if you will, of her career, she was doing that a bunch. Same with Laurel, same with Tori. Like when Tori's on a season now, people are like, they have the Bananas or the Jordan effect for Tori of Tori's on, she's going to do really well, she's going to go far, she could win this. Like Emily just doesn't have that feeling, and it's because hasn't been around a lot.
Yeah, she hasn't been around a lot, and she's gotten a little nuttier through the years. It seems
She
like
seems like a nut job.
I mean, she was going for Brad this season. That's really all you need to know.
Exactly.
So
how do we get here?
Yeah, let's. I think that was a good sidetrack about the Mount Rushmore. They showed it, so we had to talk about it. Okay. Let's get to. So I think really the only thing between leaving the daily and the elimination was the club. We go to the club, and it was a combination of the club and the BK feast, and it was probably it was like a pretty long, like maybe 15-minute segment of the episode where they're all just at the club, you know, stuffing their face with Whoppers and fries, and kind of there wasn't any drama, which I liked. This is what we kind of talked about earlier. There wasn't any drama because there's no like decisions to be made, I guess, with the targets, but that was kind of more subtle. But it was just like we know these two guys are going in against each other. Let's all kind of have like a good time. And as we know, this I think was their last time probably doing it in Vietnam. Let's all just kind of, the 10 of us left, let's have a good time. Let's, you know, eat these fries and burgers together. And it seemed like they all kind of enjoyed it.
Yes. I think that was the most fun they've had all season. And I was excited for it. Like just eating, just smashing some BK, having some drinks, no real game talk, just having fun. I was there. I was all in for it.
I really liked it, and I think my favorite part of it was there was like a few minute moment where it was just the guys, and it was just like the five guys. I know they were eating Burger King, not Five Guys, but it was just the five guys, all kind of like just chilling and being like, whatever happens from here, like all five of us like accomplished a lot this season, which is true. Like it wasn't like a sappy like kind of bullshit thing. Like the five of them have made it, you know, there's 20 guys on this season. Like they made it to the final five. And they were all just kind of sitting around, like there's no real animosity or rivalry or anything. And they were just kind of sitting around, like having their fries and just kind of like enjoying the moment and taking it all in. And I love that part.
And I mean, they all had the little crowns on. It was awesome. And I liked like Bananas was talking about the final. He was like, everyone wants to make a final. Then you get there and you're like, what the hell? Like this sucks. And like Kylan was nervous and he was like, well, like, what are you talking about? And it was like part like, you know, Bananas saying, I want to make him intimidated, but it's really just like shooting the shit, not to a rookie, but to a younger like contestant, younger competitor. Like just like, welcome to the challenge. We're going to chop it up. We're going to tell you actually don't want to make the final, like that kind of stuff. I'm in for it. It kind of reminded me of like just an old school challenge conversation of guys just getting together, shooting the shit. It wasn't like dumb. It wasn't pointless. It wasn't just like annoying guys. Like all 5 of these guys, I'm fine with watching, like no one annoys me. No one annoys other people. It was just a good group. And
Yeah,
I
it
think
was.
on the female side too.
Yeah, it's. I think we have like a really fun final 10 and now final 9. Like I like when we get moments like this, and I feel like we do get it pretty regularly, like every season, where you get to kind of that the last stage, and all the cast members kind of get over the hump of like always kind of scheming internally, and they're just like, let's just like kind of take this in. And I like that. And it's and obviously, BK being there was good. I didn't see I mean, I didn't see any chicken. I didn't see any other chicken sandwiches, chicken nuggets, and even like BK. I mean, you're the BK expert, but BK has like an underratedly wide variety of menu items. I know they have mozzarella sticks, tacos, onion rings, um, and we didn't have any of that.
No, it was sad. And they've got like one of their new chicken sandwiches is actually pretty solid. They also have their original chicken sandwich on their menu. It's called the OCS. And it's like a I don't even
It's
know.
long. It's
It's
like an
long,
oval. Yeah,
but it's good. And I mean, they've got the chicken fries. I literally just saw today that they're going to bring back churro fries, which are like the fries, but they're churros. I mean, BK is just like, they're awesome. They also had my favorite side of all time that I don't think they have anymore, but they called it a halvesy. And it was like, if you get like instead of a medium fry, you get a medium, but it's half fries, half onion rings. Why has no one thought about that? Why did they get rid of it? It was genius.
was it really called a halvesy?
Yes. BK is incredible.
See, they
You
they they
should have
just
saw
need
chicken
to
fries.
they need to expand their like they should use the challenge, which seems like one of the only venues they advertise in, to show off some of these items.
Well, and I literally I just saw today, and I think it was the like actual Burger King X, everything happens on X account, and they posted that the churro fries are coming or they're coming back. I'm not sure if they had them before, but tell me if they were going to release that today, tell me what not a better way to promote them than to have them on
Yeah.
tonight's episode. That would have if they would have had churro fries on tonight's episode, I would have gotten them. I would have gotten my car and gone and picked up an order.
Yeah, if they could have, if the top execs at BK could have timed, we're giving these clowns churro fries with, we want this episode to air on the week that we're releasing them nationwide. Everybody's going to get churro fries.
Exactly. It would have
Yeah.
been unbelievable. Give me like yeah, they had the Whoppers and they had the fries, but give me the chicken fries with the churro fries with the halvesies. I'm in.
They give them the two items that every single person in the world knows BK has:
Correct.
Whoppers and fries, and that's fine. But like, give them some more. Expand what you're giving them. I know they probably had to factor in Anissa at some point. Think, is Anissa going to be this far? What can we feed her? What can we not? But I just think that it's a big missed opportunity by BK.
Agreed. I mean, they probably had an extra pallet of Whoppers just in case.
All right. Anything else before we get to the elimination?
No, I think I'm
Okay.
good.
So the elimination, obviously Derek is in because he's last place, and Corey is also automatically in. Oh, real quick before we get to elimination, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but the other thing I did like about this part was that there was no chamber, and I think this might have been the second time that happened, and they kind of showed the chamber room, and they like showed TJ reminding us that the reason why there's no chamber, as if we forgot 40 minutes ago. But the reason why I like this is because I feel like the last few episodes we did have a chamber, but it was like a known outcome. We knew exactly what was going to happen. Last week we knew it was Kylan
Jenny.
voting in Jenny. Like we
Mhm.
knew that was going to happen 100%. And so like the fact that we can just like kind of get rid of those 5-8 minutes that they give us and just like spend more time at the club, at the elimination, whatever, was just like a good thing that I liked about this episode. It doesn't sound like it would be a good thing, not having politics or a decision, but I think from a flow perspective, it makes the episode go a lot better.
Correct. And that would be if I'm picking nits about this season, for the most part, the politics has been pretty black and white. Like
Yeah.
there hasn't been any like so and so screwed over so and so, or like a lot of times in the great season, somebody makes a decision that really impacts the politics of the game, but they're doing it for themselves, what they think is best for themselves, which is great, but you get that like, wow, I can't believe that person voted in this person or didn't save this person. We haven't really gotten that this season.
No, and I think a lot of that probably is to blame on like maintaining the target format for the
Yeah.
individuals. I think it was a good idea for the team half of the season. I feel like for individuals, it just doesn't really make as much sense, especially when we get to this small of a cast. And we have things where like you literally can just, like tonight where there's no decision to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I liked tonight that we were just kind of like, this happened. We're not going to spend any time going to eliminate or to the chamber. There's obviously no reason to, but we're not even going to like waste a second with that. So I did appreciate that. So let's go to the elimination. Derek is going in because he's last. Corey's also going in because Jordan got first, leaving him as the only target. So it's Derek versus Corey in a. I mean, TJ said it. It was like a mix of strength, endurance, brains. You're solving a puzzle. Um, there's basically a trap door. You have to spin a wheel to kind of raise it. Once you let go, it falls, but you have time to kind of scoot in there. And then you grab a certain amount of cinder blocks, run to the other side, start building a puzzle, second puzzle of the episode, and you just kind of go from there. And there was, I think, 2 puzzles they had to build, probably about 40 cinder blocks or so. Um, I I like this elimination. Didn't love it, but I feel like it's just like classic challenge. And I feel like when you can do something like this where it does involve a lot of different traits, I'll take that. And you get an upset. Like I feel like Corey had a shot at this. Obviously Derek wins, sends Corey home. Um, but I thought this one was good. I don't think it was great, but I thought it was like a fun one to watch, and you kind of could tell exactly what was happening the whole time.
Yes. It was kind of a fluky elimination, but you had to earn it, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
it was not easy. Like some of the fluky ones, anyone could do. It's just a matter of like the chips fall your way. That was not the case here. It required a lot of endurance. It was not easy. It was a lot of strategy, but it was still kind of fluky. I enjoyed it. I do like watching like seeing the progress of who's winning, who's not winning. Um, so that way it's not just the closest elimination we've ever had. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very entertaining. Um, I think my favorite part of this though was Corey had his pieces. He was struggling putting together the puzzle, and they couldn't tell what the puzzle put together. And Kylan yells out and he says, "What's the sentence say?" And Corey just says, "The challenge 40." Like it was like Corey struggling with the puzzle so much, it has to be like some long drawn out thing. And his response just being the challenge 40, it just put a smile on my face.
I still don't think he understood what like Kylan was going for.
No, not at all. He said it and then just kind of looked at him, but then Kylan was looking back at him like, okay.
You could just tell, like, from the moment it started, if this challenge was just the wheel thing and moving cinder blocks, which, like, is some strength, some strategy, like, Corey would have won easy.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a puzzle part of it, and I know we give the challenge a lot of shit for doing too many puzzles, um, but, like, there is a difference, I feel like, between doing, like, one of those slider puzzles where you're just, like, doing solely a puzzle versus something where the puzzle is kinda intertwined to the rest of the daily or the elimination, and that's what this was. Like, Derek had a strategy of being like, "Hey, I can kinda before I even pick up a cinder block, I'm gonna see that these 3 are all kinda together, so I'm gonna grab them, put them on the thing. I know that they're gonna probably end up together anyway." Whereas Corey was just like, I'm gonna stack 4 blocks. I'm not even gonna look at the paint or anything on them. I'm just gonna bring as much of them over. Um, and Bananas mentioned it. Like cinder blocks are the one like puzzly thing that if you get started wrong, it's hard to redo. And the last half of this elimination was basically Corey having all of his pieces there and just kind of looking at it the same way he looked at the triangles when they told him to multiply 9 times 3. He gave a very similar look to the cinder blocks. He just
He
didn't,
did.
he knew he had to move them around, but he just didn't know how. He didn't know where to go, and he just kind of froze there while Derek like had a plan the entire time and just kept moving.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I don't fully fault Corey for how he approached this because more often than not, probably like 75, 80% of the times, a puzzle is involved, either in a daily elimination or finale. It's you have to run a mile, do this puzzle, carry this, like go carry your pieces over here, then do the puzzle. Like the puzzle is its own standalone piece to a daily elimination final. But for something like this, the puzzle is as important as moving the blocks. Like you have to, they're all intertwined. You have to think about it as one challenge, not two separate stages. Because if you do two separate stages in this instance, you're going to lose every time. So
Yeah,
I don't fault him because like I think a lot of the contestants are wired to think the puzzle is the last thing to do or the last thing, like one little piece of what they're trying to accomplish, but it was intertwined from the get-go here.
yeah, and I think you mentioned was this elimination fluky or fluky E? I think Derek against Corey in any random elimination, like I think Corey would probably win 8 out of 10 eliminations. But this elimination, I think Derek would win this if they played this 10 times. I think he's probably winning it 7 or 8 times just because like Corey, he just has like a ceiling on what he can do with his brain and what he can do like solving a puzzle like this. And this wasn't like this was a good one for Derek, and we'll talk about maybe Derek's kind of place in the game in a little bit, but like it wasn't just a puzzle and like he did have to like move things. I know he wasn't like, wrestling Corey to the ground, but like he did have to like stay focused, like, carry these blocks. You're gonna get tired doing that. He has good endurance. We've seen that before. And like you just give him credit. Like and Corey talked about it several times this episode. He's won 3 eliminations. Like he is good at eliminations. You just can't give him anything that remotely uses his brain.
Correct. And that's, I don't know. I don't like Corey because I think he's a piece of shit, but watching him, it's so funny. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Um, but yeah, he has to think and he's gone.
Yeah, Corey's gone. Let's before we get to the targets well, actually, let's just do the targets real quick because I feel like it was pretty straightforward. So Derek wins, and Tori won the challenge. So there's basically 4 girls, and he has to pick 3 of them. He picks Ginny and Rachel because they're kind of on the opposite side, and then he has to choose between Cara and Michelle. And it shows us a little flashback where Cara says, like, nominate me. So the targets for next week are Ginny, Rachel, and Cara, which is it's a stacked target group, but honestly, like at this point, any trio of females would be stacked. I feel like Michelle is probably the worst girl left, but even then, like um, any combination would be good. But like this combination that we have, Jenny, Rachel, and Cara, that's a like any matchup there. I'm just ready. I'm ready to watch that.
Correct. And you throw Michelle into that, and if it has something to do with the puzzle or something that you have to think, she's going to smoke any of those three.
Yeah,
Any of them. So, like, even though it doesn't look, if you swap her in, it doesn't look as competitive. It it is like it's an even playing field right now. But I do think Tori's kind of a notch above them all,
I mean she's won 4 out of 7.
and she can do it all too.
She can. She's very well rounded. She's good at a lot of different shit.
What do you think on Cara nominating herself?
I thought it was pretty stupid. I thought it was her kind of getting her letting like emotions or just like the feel of the game get better of herself and just like kind of losing that winner's mindset. Like she didn't have to say vote in Michelle, but she could have just like not said anything at all. And you're that close to the final. This is something that like bananas would never do.
Hell no. And I understand where she was coming from with, saying Michelle's already been in 3 of these. I hope this lights a fire under my ass. If you need to go into elimination before the final, if you need that to happen to light the fire under your ass, you're not going to win it all. And you're probably not going to win the next elimination if you're in it. Like, I understand she thought it was honorable. She thought it was, Michelle's earned her place. I need to still, prove myself in this season. But like, that's not. You're right. That's not what Bananas would do. That's not what Wes would do. That's not what Kenny would do. Like, that's not how you play, and more importantly, how you win the challenge. It's just
Yeah.
not.
You're entering risk into the equation. You're entering going home into the equation. Just don't say anything. It just I just disagreed with that.
Let me throw this out there with you. Unless, and this would be a big brain move from Cara, unless she thought this would be my way to potentially knock out Rachel. Because I don't think Jenny's a real threat in the final because she's proven multiple times, and even on the teaser for next week, Jenny's really strong, but her endurance is shit. I don't care how strong you are. In the final, all you need is endurance. But I think Cara could view Rachel as a threat. I mean, she damn near sucks her dick every episode. Rachel's a badass bitch, like 3 times an episode. So maybe she's thinking, I don't want to run a final against her. I would rather roll the dice and try to knock her out in elimination. I don't think that's the case, but that would be the only thing that I would understand her reasoning.
Yeah, she did also though. I think maybe in that same confessional, um, she did point out and like notice that Rachel is not good at puzzles, and she's been bad at them kind of all season. And so maybe she sees Ginny as like I want to run against her in the final because she has bad endurance. I want to run against Rachel in a final because she's not good at puzzles. I feel like Cara probably views Tori as her biggest threat, but Tori
Yeah.
obviously wasn't a target and she couldn't have been. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if Cara was thinking that way or thinking at all.
Yeah, there's no chance she was. But that would be the only thing that would make sense. She could be like, you know what? If I see Michelle, because it was her, Michelle, if she's thinking like, I'd be okay with seeing Michelle in the final, I just have to go nominate myself for a week. Like, I
Yeah.
get it, but she's not thinking none of these, unless it's bananas, maybe even Jordan. No one's thinking that far ahead here.
No, yeah, nobody really thinks that much. Before we get to some segments, just kind of real quick on like kind of the result of Derek beating Corey. So Derek is now in the final four. I think we're kind of assuming that these are going to be the four guys running the final. We talked about kind of their like camaraderie that they had earlier in the episode. But as I was watching this, a few thoughts went into my mind as I was watching Derek beat Corey. I like this final four: Bananas, Jordan, Kylan, and Derek. I I still wish Corey would have been there instead of Derek, but like I don't know, 8 episodes ago, I would have said if Derek makes the final, that's a bad thing for season 40. And I still wish it was somebody else instead of Derek, but at the same time, Derek won the daily 2 episodes ago, like the for the guys challenge, and he just won an elimination against a good elimination like competitor. And so, even though I don't think Derek is on par with the rest of these three guys, like he has earned it. And before winning that daily, before winning this elimination, he played a damn good social game to get himself to this point. And if you look at the four guys that are left, I like all four of them because it's like they all kind of have slightly different routes that they've taken to
Oh,
get
yeah.
there. Bananas has gone into 2 eliminations. He's kind of been like the face of the show, center of attention, dodging bullets. Jordan has been like the sneaky, like best guy, like, biggest target on his back, but at the same time, like playing the right people at the right time and just kind of like hiding back in the shadows. Kylan he's gone into a couple eliminations and won, but he's also like won a lot of the individual challenges, and he's been like kind of one of the like surprises of the season, just in terms of like just how good he's been. And then you have Derek, who like on paper is kind of the odd man out, but like I feel like it's not unusual to go into a final and have a team, Jay and Jenna X's too, that you just like feel like doesn't belong. Johnny Riley, free agents, but it's just like,
Mike and Leroy.
yeah, Mike and Leroy. You always have like in a final, especially if there's going to be four people or four teams in it, like you always have that one guy or that one team that is a little out there, but like whatever they did, it worked because they're there. And I feel like that's kind of what Derek is. So I do, and in Corey's story would have been like the eliminations, right? It would have been like went into 4 eliminations, won them all. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but like I do like this final four guys, and I guess I'm starting. My point is, I'm starting to give Derek credit for getting here.
I totally agree. And I think one of the things I came to was, is he having a perfect season? Like,
Pretty
I mean,
close.
like not just for himself, but like he didn't go this stacked cast. He didn't see an elimination until the last elimination before the final. When he needed to win, he won against a good competitor, and now he's going to the final. If Derek wins this season, we have to talk about it being one of the best performances for a season of all time. We have to.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the cast that was around him, and the fact that like if he's, I mean, no matter what, he's top four, is very very impressive. And I feel like too, like the thought crossed my mind as he was winning the elimination was like, at some point, I think now is the point. I'm just gonna stop being surprised about Derek. Like 8 episodes ago, I would have been like, I would be surprised if Derek makes the final. Now at this point, like I would not be surprised if Derek finishes second out of the guys. I think I would still be a little surprised if he wins it all, but like you look at, I think if you were ranking the guys, I feel like Derek is still probably fourth out of four in the final. But, we've seen 20, 30 seasons of the show. It never plays out like 1 through 4. Like you
No.
always have kind of the third or fourth person like winning it all or getting second. And I feel like Kyle was always the king of that. Like he was always kind of one of the worst guys like going into the final, but he got second, I think like 3 different times. Like I could very well see, Bananas or Kylan or somebody struggles on a puzzle and like Derek just like passes them. Like I could see Derek finishing second. Like I would not be surprised at this point if that's what happens.
Um, I'm with you. My only question is, am I mistaken in thinking that like Derek hasn't actually been that great at puzzles this year? Like I feel like the gut instinct is like, yeah, of course. But didn't he do really bad on the mini finale because of a puzzle? And I also feel like there was another instance as well during the daily that he struggled with a puzzle pretty bad.
Um, I think he did struggle on the mini final. I have seen lots of rumors that that one had a lot of equipment malfunctions, which is on par for the challenge.
Million
Um,
dollar set, 10-cent locks.
yes,
High
very
level guys will understand.
very SBS esque. I
Mhm.
honestly can't remember his like kind of um, like specific puzzle reputation this season. I do know he did do well on the when they were still in the eras and when they were like on top of the building and they were like jumping out to get something or puzzle pieces. I remember he did good for the era two on that. And I feel like he's just the type of person that even if he is not doing good on a puzzle, he's very level headed
Yes.
and he can like at least like kind of take everything like calmly and just like figure it out even if he's not gonna like get it right away.
And I think that's why, like, I would have him as fourth on these last four guys as well. But it's not a knock to him. It's just a knock to all of these guys are very well rounded.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say, like, if Corey was still in, you could say, okay, well, Corey is more physical than probably all the guys, but he's also a pea brained idiot. And like if Corey was in here instead of Kylan, for instance, then you could say, okay, well, Corey's three, but or Derek's three and Corey's four because Derek's smarter than him and will be able to do puzzles better. But like from 1 to 4, all of these guys are physical enough, good endurance, and smart. So it's going to be a very entertaining finale.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan said it. He was like, "I Corey's made 5 finals and he's never won. Of course, I want to run a final against him."
Exactly.
Derek is the unknown. Like, you're gonna get mad because you're kind of underestimating him because he's not a bigger guy, but like, he can just kind of keep going and going, and he could. I don't know. Like, I again, I'd still be surprised if he does it all, but like, I would not be surprised if he gets second or third at this point. Like, I think he does have that in.
I think that's a good way to put it.
All right. Anything else on the episode before we get to some segments?
I'm back. Location change. I'm back in. I'm all in. Let's go.
We do have. So, what do we think? TJ's going to come before the daily and say we're moving?
No, I think he said the next time you see me, he's going to be in a different place. So I think they get home, they pack up, and they get sent out.
And will they do the classic? Wait, what is that place? Like I've never been to Berlin. Is that a country? Like they always do that. Is it a country? Is it a city? I've never heard of that. Where is that?
Yes, and you're gonna get the welcome to a new house pool party. It looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we're gonna get some great camera work next week.
Yes, that's true.
Mm.
All right. Let's get to some segments. First one is this day in challenge history. War of the Worlds 2. It was the final episode. I guess first, do you know the 4 winners of War of the Worlds 2?
Was that with Rogan?
Yes.
Rogan, Jordan or Tori, one of them got left right before. I think Tori left. So Rogan Jordan or Rogan Tori?
Jordan.
Which one? Jordan. That's what I thought. And then there's another chick, Georgia, maybe?
No, it was Rogan's kind of side ting.
D?
Yes.
I thought we weren't allowed to talk about her anymore. And then I want to say CT.
Yeah, CT. But the real question is the 4 people that got second place.
So would that have been Tori?
No, because she was purged, so it would have been the other team, USA.
Paulie?
Yes.
Cara?
Yes. Two more people. Neither of them were on this season. One
Uh,
one girl, one guy.
Now I'm just trying to think of who their little bitches were because I feel like that's that whole season. It was just Cara and Paulie and all their little minions. Um, I'm gonna say Cam.
No, she got purged.
I want to say Zach definitely,
Yes.
and then who's that Asian chick that was Ninja? Ninja.
Yes, Ninja.
Dang.
All right, yeah. So it was Zach, Ninja, Kara, and Paulie.
I mean, death, taxes, Dabu not saying anything in weeks, and then coming up and just nailing a this day in challenge history. Weeks.
Did he?
Dabu's the man.
Oh my God, Taboo is there.
When was the last time we've heard from Dabu?
Oh my God, it just waits for the this day in challenge history.
Legend.
All right, so let's do. All right, let me see if this comes up. All right, MVP, LVP. You guys know what to do. Send in the order. As we're waiting on that, real quick, I did want to bring up. Um, there's been some rumors. We've seen it in the live chat about how there is no episode scheduled for next week. And if you look at the schedule, next week is the 18th. So the week after that is Christmas. The week after that is New Year's. So we would assume that neither of those weeks are going to have episodes either. Um, if they're not doing an episode next week, it's indefensible to me. I'm actually like pissed off about it. They didn't have an episode the day before Thanksgiving. They didn't have an episode on the VMAs, whatever. And well, so the other thing is next week on their time slot, they have an hour and a half scheduled preview of All Stars 5. That's an actual thing. And if they do that, like I don't know how much longer I can stay positive on this season. And I like it episode to episode, but it just pisses me off, and I get so mad at the producers. I don't understand why they would do this. Why they would take you already know you're gonna have to take 2 weeks off for the holidays. To take a third week off on front of that, in the last episode before the final, why the fuck would they do that? It just I'm not gonna get too mad yet because I'm still holding out probably false hope that this doesn't happen and we're here 7 days from now, but I don't know.
Can I just try to spin zone your mindset here? Because
Tsunami. What are we talking about?
TT from the rafters. I understand the frustration completely. I told you that felt like we haven't watched an episode in a long time for today. And we only had 1 week off, and now we're going to potentially have another and then another, yada, yada, whatever. Try to think of this as, and this is what I'm trying to tell myself, and I want to get your thoughts on it. But I'm viewing this as the 30 for 30, The Last Dance. It's you've got from Phil Jackson on, they're just trying to make it a hell of a season. From the top at the Bulls organization level, all a bunch of fucking idiots saying, we're going to do our own thing. We don't care what you think. We're going to disband this whole thing. That's like MTV. That's Bunim Murray. Like at an organizational level, they fucking suck. They're putting us through this shit in the middle of a great season. I'm just focusing on this season. It's The Last Dance, which it very well could be because I think this is a hell of a season. I'm still locked in on this season. I'm trying to block out all the MTV, BME bullshit, focus on this season, and probably, unfortunately, accept that the next season's going to be back to the same old bullshit. But that's been my mindset of this is the last dance.
That's a good way to think about it. Um, the fact that they know that what they should have done is they should have done the stupid bullshit All Stars 5 preview the day before Thanksgiving.
Correct.
You're gonna take that off. Like, I don't know why you would. So I basically took the day off before Thanksgiving, came back for 2 episodes, and now they're gonna take 3 weeks off.
So as it stands
So
now,
that's a 7-week period where we have 2 episodes.
So as it stands right now, we're not going to be doing another Stir the Pod until 2025.
Yeah. Happy New Year to all the live chat, I guess.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, Happy Festivus. I think that's about it.
It's insane, and now I'm so pissed about it. Let's end on a good vibe. Let's do MVP LVP. It looks like you are first based on Mikey the doctor's order and TT. When TT, just relax a little bit, bud. I can see these comments.
My pick for MVP. It's tough. I've got 2. I've got a 1 and I've got a 2. I was kind of hoping I was going to pick second. But you know me. I am the Burger King. Burger King was just, it's a staple. It's up there with the first episode. It's up there with the finale, trivia, and the Burger King episode. That's my Mount Rushmore of episodes in a given season. First, last, trivia, Burger King. Burger King coming out. We got the flame grilled hot rod tonight. They were feasting. They had the crowns. It just always hits. I know some people like to do Burger King prematurely, flag on the play, false start, 5 yards back. This was the Burger King episode. It deserves an MVP, and it's going to be my MVP pick tonight.
That's a great pick, and it's one of those things where you really like, much like the trivia episode, you can't give it every single week, even though some people tried to give it weeks that it doesn't really make sense.
Exactly.
But I mean, tonight was definitely it was there. I mean, they said Burger King probably a dozen times, and just seeing them all feast on it is just always very smirk. My pick for MVP, I think there's going to be a streak of MVPs that ends tonight.
Wow!
And it was a fun run. It was a fun run, but I'm not going to go bananas tonight. I mean, I understand that I have the last MVP pick of the night, but there's 3 MVP picks per episode, so I'll just point that out.
Good point.
I'll just point that out. But
the streak could be alive and well. Our hands are tied.
Yeah, exactly. This could have happened if everybody was all in. But my MVP is going to be Derek.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, just a good performance. He beats Corey in an upset. And his sister and everything was just like just a sad, emotional thing to go through. I thought they were going to play it up as like Derek ends up losing to Corey, and everybody hugs Derek, and they're like, she would still be proud of you either way, all of that type thing. And his last kind of confessional is about how proud he was of himself on the season, but like, no, he's still going. He knocks out Corey. Corey was just hyping himself up all season, or all episode, I should say. And so just a very impressive win from Derek, and I think it's deserving of the MVP.
It's a great pick. I mean, with only having 2 people and hence 2 MVP picks, those are the right 2 picks. Unfortunately, that means a a streak that I believe is the longest MVP streak in Stir the Pod or BMFEP history.
Yes, that's true.
So
Bananas.
the longest MVP streak in all of STP BMFEP history has now ended because unfortunately we only have 2 MVP picks and there were 2 correct answers. So yeah,
Yeah,
sad.
and the third correct answer probably would have kept the streak alive, but tonight there's no third answer apparently.
It's unfortunate.
For LVP, I gotta think about this. I feel like there wasn't anything that really made me upset. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go with MTV
Ooh.
because I don't know exactly kind of who to pin them not having an episode next week on. I don't want to say the challenge or production because I think that's a little too small. So I guess I'm just gonna say MTV because they're the ones that are responsible for. You have fucking 23 hours a day of ridiculousness and catfish. You can't put the All Stars preview an hour before the challenge. You can't move that. Like you can't figure out. You can't put it the day before. You can do a million different things. Figure it out. I don't know why you're stopping your best season that you've had in 10 years just to like show a seat. Like it just makes no sense to me. So my LVP is going to be MTV.
That's a great pick. And let me just there's a Burger King ad on right now. You rule. So there's from what we know, there's no episode next week. No episode on Christmas. No episode on New Year's. We had an episode tonight, and there was no episode last week.
Yeah.
So in a 5-week span, during probably the best season in the last 5, 6, maybe even like 8 years, in a 5-week span, right as we're approaching the final, it is knocking on the door. They give us one episode in a 5-week span.
Yes.
Where's the logic? Give us the 3-hour Christmas special. Give us something to be excited about. You cannot just do one episode in 5 weeks.
It makes no sense. We're going to get to the next episode and like totally forget who the target is, who won, who's even left. Like it's so stupid. I get that, like this is a weird year where Christmas and New Year's are like middle of the week and like the day of the challenge, but for one, you had a whole year to like figure that out. Like if you want to move one episode up a day, you can, but like that all just makes the next week that much more indefensible. Like you have 2 weeks in a row of no episode because of the holidays. Fucking get it out there. It's so stupid.
Well, and why not just like have an episode last week before Thanksgiving? You're not doing it on Thanksgiving. You're not doing it on a holiday. Do tonight's episode last week. Do the last girls' elimination this week. And then next week, do a 2-hour, 1-part finale.
Yeah.
Why not? That's crazy.
And they're literally like prioritizing their stupid All-Star spinoff over an active season. It's not even an episode of All-Stars. It's a preview that like to my knowledge, All-Stars hasn't even been like announced yet. I don't know when it's coming out, but I don't think it's going to be for several months. Like and it's an hour and a half. Like I don't know what that hour and a half is going to be. It's so stupid.
Wow. Well, we could go on and on about this, and I can feel myself wanting to, but that's a great LVP pick. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. What you got?
My LVP pick is going to be Corey. Like,
yeah,
I know you guys wanted to see him do well. I was indifferent on that. Until he proves me otherwise, Corey's just going to be a great, could never win the big one. competitor, whether it's an elimination like this right before the finale or in the finale itself. If you can't win the big one, what the hell are you doing on the show?
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think Corey, like, I wanted him to be in the final, to be like, the one guy that won a ton of eliminations. He's made finals before. He's like been kind of a staple of the past 10 years. But also him losing tonight is very Corey E. Like he always comes up short, whether it's losing a final or like losing an elimination. Like he always figures out a way to fuck it up. And tonight he did it against the guy that on paper he should have beat. I know it was a puzzly elimination, but like at some point, like you got to start like, do you have a brain? Can you like figure out how to do these types of eliminations? Like it was just a very kind of Corey E outcome for his whole season.
Like, just you've got what, 3 daughters at home? Like, I'm sure they like it when you like read them books and whatnot. But kids like puzzles. Just fucking do some puzzles with your daughters. Like, try to practice a little bit. Like, sharpen your brain. Like, do something. Because if he can't, he's never gonna win.
Yeah, and this was like one of his best seasons that he's had. Doesn't even make the final. I had fun watching him throughout the season, but I think it was, especially on like an episode like this when the cast is so small, I think Corey LVP was a pretty good pick.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any honorable mentions or anything else from the episode before we wrap up?
2 honorable mentions MVP. I'm not going to give it an honorable mention LVP for somebody who I may or may not have given an LVP to last week because I already gave that out there. But my 2 honorable mention MVPs are going to be Bananas. Obviously, streak's over, but he's in the finals. He had his back against the wall the whole season. He's in the finals. And location changes. Staple in a season. That's probably number 5 on the Mountain Rushmore, so not included, but just on the outside looking in of things that I like about a given season. Give me the location change.
Was that not on your Mount Rushmore?
It might have been.
I think it. When I saw that, I think it was, but we'll get our stats guy on that.
I bulge.
My only honorable mention was for MVP for Tori, just because she just like kind of keeps winning, and obviously
I am mad at that.
In a good spot for next episode, not being a target. Anything else? Are we good to go?
Good to go.
All right, so that's it for episode 16. We'll keep you guys posted on if there's going to be an actual episode of the challenge next week. We think there's probably not. We'll see. Follow us on Twitter at SirThePod to kind of stay up to date on what's happening. If we don't see you guys again, like we said, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, all of those things. From our family to yours, STP. So hope to see you guys again very soon. We'll see if season 40, maybe it just ends and they never, put out the last few episodes. At this point,
that would honestly be maybe the best thing they could do at this point.
And they just kind of hold it.
Yes, that would be incredible
for years, maybe. All right, so
no, it is good. I'm glad that me and you, the 2 faces of Stir the Pod, can be on here to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year's. Coming from us, again, the 2 faces of Stir the Pod, to you, the AWLs. I'm very honored that us 2, again, as the faces, can do that tonight and never again until 2025.
Yeah, so from the 2 of us to all you guys, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, all that. We'll see you guys soon-y. Follow us on Twitter at StirThePod, on Instagram at Stir_the_pod. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Shout out Duffy. Bye-bye.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.